Mr. Brady.
Well, welcome, Mr. Secretary. I applaud the President's effort to submit an honest budget and a fiscally responsible budget, but when you look closely, it doesn't appear to fit the bill in either of those cases. At the heart of this bill is the economic assumptions. What will our economy do over the next few years? Yet, when I look at the assumptions that are included in the budget, they are unrealistic and overly optimistic, and I think hide the true deficits and debts to come. In fact, my worry is, looking at this, it looks like, and not you, looks like someone's cooking the books to hide a $2 trillion deficit for this year and much higher deficits in the future. Congressional Budget Office believes your estimate is dramatically low. Chairman of the Fed, Ben Bernanke, his estimate is much higher than this. Blue chip consensus much higher. Do you know of a single economist who believes that we will contract only 1% this year?
Congressman, thank you so much for raising this point. It's very important. The administration's forecast is within the range of CBO's post-stimulus forecast. It's within the range of the full range of private forecasters out there. Now, it is true that in some ways it does predict a somewhat more rapid recovery than some private forecasters predict, and that's because we are committed to and we are confident that the Recovery Act and the range of other measures we're going to take to address this crisis are going to be effective. Now, the critical thing that matters for the long-term fiscal path is the long-term assumptions about long-term growth rates, and those assumptions are absolutely within and at the closer to the center of long-term private forecasts. So I believe this is a realistic forecast.
Mr. Secretary,
it's within the range.
Secretary, if you look at what Chairman Bernanke said just last week, 2% contraction this year, 2% growth next year, you're nowhere near those numbers. And if you look at CBO's numbers, neither that. And in truth, the basis of your 5-year deficit are these near numbers, not the outlying 8, 9, 10-year numbers. So there is, again, I'll come back to, is there an economist we can look to who says we're only going to contract 1% this year? Because with that basis, I clearly think we're going to a $2 trillion deficit this year alone.
Congressman, as I said, the forecast that underpins this budget, which is a carefully designed forecast designed to be realistic, is within the range of CBO's estimates and the range of private forecast estimates out there. Now, you are right that what our economy is going through is a deepening recession. That's where we started from, and our central obligation to the American people is to try to make sure we're moving quickly to help arrest that process. And as I said, because these deficits are large that we're starting with, we're also going to have to make sure we convince them that we're going to have the will and the ability to bring these deficits down over time. But this is a realistic forecast. We'll have the chance to reflect on it when we do our through the normal calendar of forecasts. And we'll be very careful to make sure that we're looking at this with a cold, hard set of eyes. And again, we're within the range of not just CBO's ranges, but the private forecasters out there.
I beg to differ. That's nowhere close. In April, when Director Orszag brings back the fleshed-out budget, will he have more accurate economic numbers?
Congressman, we will make sure that the forecast that underpins our budget reflects a realistic assessment of the risks and challenges ahead for the economy as a whole. And I believe this forecast does that.
Thanks, Secretary.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Tanner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here.